Definitely going to spot it. And they say
I wonder if my next door neighbours have run social service teacher. So I've gone out.
Okay.
They have to, you've laughed, you've done a few times.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Woodley Town Council's Planning and Community Committee, held on this date, which is the 15th of October 2024. Woodley Town Council meetings are now recorded, with recordings streamed live and stored on the Town Council's YouTube channel. By virtue of attending the meeting, you consent to having your image and audio recorded for this purpose. If you do not wish for your image and audio to be recorded, then please do not stay for the meeting. For those in attendance, we're not expecting a fire drill tonight, so if you hear the fire alarm, please head to the nearest fire exit and congregate at the fire assembly point by the Oakwood Centre at the front of Woodford Park. Okay, first item on the agenda, apologies.
Thank you. I have apologies from councillors Lewis, Sartorell, Baker, Horskins, Singh and Jewell. And just to note, councillors Horskins and Baker are joining us virtually. Keith is there. You can't see him at the moment. I'm just trying to bump him up to
Right. Okay.
Working. He is there.
You can't see Robert though. Yes. Okay, declarations of interest. Anybody have any declarations of interest that we need to be aware of? No? Okay. Minutes of the meeting and planning community meeting held on the 17th of September. These were included in the full council agenda on the 24th of September 24. Is everybody happy that these are a true record of that meeting, and can I sign them as such? Yep. Thank you very much. Item 4 on the agenda is actions and follow-ups on page 5. Just have a go through those and see if anything needs to be noted. Speed watch, web page drafted, away to go live. That's dealt with. We're going to get a speed watch report a little bit later in the meeting. Yep, Stu, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
thank
yeah,
you.
sorry.
Okay, yeah. Local plan, we're waiting on that to December. There's nothing really. But invite the town council not due to take place until regard to January, so that can't be dealt with. Members consider potential locations for new council notice boards. Decision on locations will be a future consideration. Yes. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Cycling and walking group to discuss. That's in hand, isn't it?
Wow.
Is it?
We're still waiting
on the
my
journey.
maps that we were supposed to produce, and Matt has chased them up a number of times. So
Nothing.
we probably need to rethink that.
Right. Okay. But we've had nothing from them.
No.
Right.
Very busy.
Yeah. No. WBC to criteria rationale behind selecting EV chargers. Any news further on that? I know we've asked for this one to be looked at. Does anybody
Does
know?
that document that we've got actually cover this?
In a way, it's a bit non-specific, and I had asked her some specific questions in relation to the one in Wee Park, because I was trying to get some usage data, which I haven't had a response to. I'm going to follow that up again.
Right. Okay. Have you had an update on the Councillor Guttridge regarding disabled parking bays in Headley Road car park?
No.
Nothing back at all? Nothing at all? We've not had anything back as a council, have we?
No, but I can follow that one up again as well.
Okay. We've had this one, that's completed. That's the town centre footfall details. And these others are complete. So they can come off now. Yeah, I take it.
They'll show us complete,
Right.
and then they'll come off.
Right. Okay. Current planning applications on page 9. We'll go through them on the order at which they're shown. So we start with 96 Antrim Road, which is 242170, householder application for for the proposed single-storey rear extension following the demolition of the existing storey rear extension. Anybody, any comments on that? I couldn't see any great issues on that one at all. Anything? No? Robert,
it's
no?
the same footprint, isn't it?
Yeah. Everybody quite happy with that one? There's no objections?
That's footprint and everything.
Yep. Okay. Yes, Robert. Sorry, Robert, we can't hear you.
I think it was Keith.
I think it might have been some microphone noise.
Oh, right, okay.
It's not me. I think it's Keith.
Right.
I think it's
Can you
Keith.
hear me,
Keith,
guys?
Keith flashed up on my screen.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can now, yes.
Right, okay, because I've got no video because we're doing, oh, look, that's me. No, it's fine. No problems with this one at all.
Okay, thanks very much. Next one is 19 Coppice Road, 242179, householder application proposed erection, single-storey front and side extension, along with a garage extension, followed by the demolition of the existing detached garage. Again, any comments from any of the committee?
Same as next door, isn't it?
Yep, yep. No problems. Okay, we'll go with that one. No objections. Household application for the proposed demolition of existing conservatory. This is 242429. Demolition of existing conservatory proceeding single-storey rear extension with roof light, front porch extension, loft conversion with dormer extension and roof light, and changes to fenestration. There is an objection from one neighbour, but actually I don't believe that the objection is valid. I don't know whether you've got the objections there.
Comment, isn't it?
Yeah,
They're saying about the planning application form isn't at the end of the driveway. But
There's no requirement now to do that.
to do
So-
it at all. I mean, they have put it further
Yeah,
down the driveway.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think that we can make that one as a valid objection at all. Other than that, any other comments that anybody has on this one?
The only thing, I mean, and I don't know whether that, it's kind of an issue, but a lot of the houses in Wood Way have been extended upwards
Yeah.
in the same way, haven't they?
Yeah.
Sort of dormers outside. And the people next door have already got quite a big dormer
Yeah.
window there, and there seems to be windows opposite. So,
Facing each other there.
yeah,
they would be,
I
yes,
don't know
yeah.
whether they're set or not. I'm not spatially aware enough to see, but presumably the planning officers
Just-
will pick that up if it was over.
Yeah, they might. Have we got a drawing on that one?
Yeah.
Depends on what the rooms are. I mean, it could be obscure glass, couldn't it? If they weren't facing each other, I don't know.
But
Yeah.
it's quite big next doors and.
Yeah, mind you, their one is the roof conversion, isn't it? I mean, it's a.
Yeah, it's sort of
It's
long,
long,
isn't
yeah.
it? But yeah, as I say, that the ones next door is pretty chunky. And,
Yeah. There was a shot of it, wasn't there? A drawing of the elevation.
Must admit, I don't like dormers at all. I think they're ugly. But there are so many dormers in Wood Way and that
That's it.
you couldn't complain about it.
Those ones on the side, you're saying,
Yes.
on the bottom.
So next doors have got
Got them as
quite a
well.
big window on theirs, and
It's quite close.
but I can't work out whether they're actually aligned or offset on. But as I say, that would be something presumably the planning officers would pick
I would
up.
imagine they would pick that
Yeah.
up. I mean, we could make a comment that there are windows to the side, and if they are likely to be overlooked, would they be obscured glass because we can't see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd only put obscure glass in the bathroom, though, wouldn't they?
My friend had to have obscured glass in her kitchen. They got next in the old bit of the kitchen, they'd extended backwards, and they had to have obscured glass because they wanted light in where they put the essential obscured glass downstairs. So,
Otherwise, we're quite happy with that one.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Right. Where are we? Right, 242488, 30 Lunds Farm Road, household application for proposed single-storey front extension to form a porch. And there has been a concern of this one, and it's been submitted to Wokingham Borough Council, and we're waiting on that really to see what happens as far as that's concerned. But I mean, it's actually extending over to the neighbour's property, and it has been found that that is the case. And
that resident has made representation.
Wokingham Borough Council, so I think we have to leave it for that for the borough to deal with on that one.
I mean, other than that, it's like for like, she's replacing an existing porch with a new porch.
Yeah, yeah,
But obviously there's uncertainty over that boundary line.
yeah.
Chairman,
Yes,
yeah, that's really weird. So basically, whether it's on their property or not is irrelevant. Anyone can apply for a planning application on any plot of land. They do not have to own it. So that's the law. It's crazy, but that's the law.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for us to make any comment on it while it's being dealt with by the borough is very difficult. I mean, we could say that, you know, we're concerned, but it's really for the borough.
But Chair, the Wokingham Borough won't be dealing with that particular objection because it's irrelevant to the planning process.
So Keith, what would happen then if it got passed, the planning application got passed, and there is actually an issue about building on next door's, you know, encroaching on next door's land? I mean, what recourse do they have? I mean, do they have to
Don't have any.
go to law about it?
Well, it would be, obviously, June, it would be a civil matter, but
Yeah.
it's the classic is you can get planning permission on any plot of land, but if you don't own it, you can't build it.
All right.
So if you started building and it's on somebody else's land, they would have civil recourse to you.
Right, okay.
So it's like that kiosk we looked at last month.
Yeah.
Nice. The next door neighbours built on 2 foot my land before we completed on the property.
Okay, well, have no comments then. Right, next one is 242489 33 Hudson Road, a house owner application for proposed erection of a new front porch. Again, wait a minute, no, that's that one then. Objection. Sorry, I'm getting confused.
I couldn't see any other porches in that road, so obviously it's like our question is the street view.
The Hudson Road one, I thought, David, that it was a semi and they've got one on the other side.
Mm.
Basically what people seem to be doing
I
is
tried to-
taking their sort of like
Yeah.
canopy porches, don't they, and closing them in. But I've probably got the wrong one. 33.
Oh, there is another porch there.
Just
There's a porch.
Yeah.
they were originally built without one.
Yeah, no, I was looking at it, I couldn't see one.
It's really causing a great deal of problem, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Then I wouldn't have any objections to it.
No. Any objections, anybody? No, any comments? No? Okay. 242498 13 Jerome Road, household application for proposed erection of a new front porch and 2-storey side rear extension and a single-storey rear extension. It is 242498. Don't see any issues. Anybody, any concerns or issues on this one? No, nobody. Fine. And finally, Headley Road East, Woodley 242532. This is an application to vary a condition 15 against a planning application previously of 213-106, and this is the condition 15, refers to BREEAM, which is, I looked up, Building Research Establishment Environmental Methods, and it's really about the method of building and the environmental issues.
But, I mean, my comment on that would be very much that we refused it last time it came to us.
Yep.
Wokingham refused it, and they went to appeal where the inspectorate
Yep.
allowed it, subject to that condition.
Yes.
So
Where do we go against that?
I think the issue with it, reading it through, is that they don't issue these certificates until somebody has been in the property. But whether
Right.
you could, because there are, I think, 5 different buildings, and what they're
Yeah.
saying is that they want to, that it's actually not possible to issue the certificate until
Until
somebody's
after
been in
6
it.
months.
Presumably they take some measurements or something. I
Yeah.
honestly don't know. And one of the people who've complained about this, and actually most of the objections are actually to do with the original,
Yeah.
kind of,
Black
so we know
activity,
people
yes.
are having a miserable time over there at the moment with all the work that's being done. But one of the chaps that has put in an objection was saying, well, surely they knew this at the time. And I thought, well, yeah, fair enough, isn't it? Then I went and read the appeal report, from the inspector who delivered that. And it was him that put this requirement in. So I don't know who's responsible, but if he's put something in there that isn't actually physically possible to do. So I guess that's the question really,
Yeah.
is this actually
Yeah.
not possible to issue a green certificate
Yeah.
unless somebody's.
But we know how many articulated lorry spaces there are there. I counted 21 when the original application came up. Now, that's 21 lorries exiting that site onto Viscount Way. Viscount Way was never built to accommodate an additional 21 lorries.
That isn't what this is about.
I mean, the last meeting we had the complaints from people on the Red Road estate and Miller's Place, Miller's Grove and Baker's Place, about the vibration of the works.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be exactly the same with the lorries. The vibration there
There
I
are.
think the issue
will be
with
felt.
this, though, to be honest, this condition 15 isn't actually anything to do with that. It's to do with the how green each of those buildings is, and it's all to do with, isn't it, how they're keeping the air clean and the heating and all this sort of stuff. And my understanding is that, just reading it through, is that you have to have people in the building using it in order to take the measurements to confirm that the building is behaving in the way a green building does. So this is what the company concerned are saying, is that they can't have a green certificate for the whole lot simultaneously. It has to be
On each
building by
individual
building.
unit.
So even if somebody goes into number 1 and they can do a green thing there, it isn't actually valid for the other buildings. That's my understanding of it. So it seems, my reading of it, and perhaps we need to just ask Borough about this, is that the planning inspector the way he's worded this requirement, it hasn't taken account of how this green stuff works. So we need to just check that, and that's.
I mean, personally speaking, I would have expected the inspector to grant the application on appeal, would have taken all of these things into
Well,
account.
fine, if he's made an error.
And, I don't think we have the right to,
Make that decision,
To make
make that observation. Yes, I think Keith is trying. I thought, Keith, are you trying to come in?
Yeah, are you seeing my hand up?
No,
No,
I
Okay.
can see it here, but you're not on the screen.
no.
Right, okay. So basically, what June is saying is the same as from my research, that until you know who is actually in there, you can't really do the BREEAM test. The BREEAM test covers lots of areas, including transport. And, you know, if, for argument's sake, one of those units is rented to somebody who has nothing to do with Arctics, that's a different sort of sustainability envelope than somebody's using it as a warehouse. And I think, you know, they're not saying let's not have BREEAM. What they're saying is have it within 6 months of occupation. So for me personally, I think that is okay, but I wouldn't want it any longer than that, because it gives them the opportunity to address exactly the issues that June has raised, and I totally agree with that.
Okay, fine. Everybody else happy with that? Yeah, so we don't go.
Our understanding is correct. And if so, then we're asking them to do something impossible if we don't agree to changing that.
Okay, and that is it this week, this month, rather, I should say, on planning applications. Okay, come on to planning decisions on page 10. Refused, contrary, none. Determination made by the Woking Borough Council, none. Approved contrary to the council's recommendations. So we had 83 Malone Road that we obviously made a recommendation to refuse, but they've actually gone with it. Don't know whether you've had the chance to have a look at that. And
I think it was about this drop curb.
Yes, we were concerned about the junction, weren't we?
The borough is saying that they've added stipulations in so that people can't put gates. Gates and so forth, so that was the sight lines here. I think it's quite a recurring theme with us, isn't it, that we look at traffic issues and traffic, which they carry a lot.
Yeah, well, we certainly had that at Shepherd's Hill, didn't we?
Gosh, yeah.
Right, approved endorsing the town council's recommendations. There's a number there that we agreed with or the borough agreed with us, so we won't go into those. And that's that. Okay, where are we on the agenda? All the way back. Item 7, prior approval submission. This is requires only a consultation with adjoining neighbours. So that was Aaron Road application prior approval for the erection of proposed single-storey rear extension, extending up to 6 metres from the original wall of the house. So we've just got to gone out to consultation with the adjoining neighbours, but otherwise nothing much that we need to. Tree preservation orders, any of those listed there? Well, there's only one, isn't there?
Can I?
It's in Antrim Road, yes.
Do all trees have a preservation order?
No.
There's a map on the borough site that you can actually see which trees have got tree preservation orders on them, and typically I think they're like old oaks and things like that. But
some areas have a blanket preservation order across the whole area.
Yeah, I realise that. And no one did it, we fell in that.
well, again, that's all marked up because it's all by the old church, isn't it? And
Yeah, Causeway.
there's a whole big patch there.
Councillor Baker's got his hand up.
Yeah, Keith.
No, sorry, no.
That's an old one, okay.
Right.
I much prefer
Okay.
I much prefer Teams rather than Zoom, please.
We're getting there.
Okay, pavement licence. So note the following application for a pavement licence received by Woking Borough Council for Bosco Lounge. And the location maps provided on Appendix 9, page 13. I think you've all had an opportunity to have a look. Well, yeah.
We've already approved this anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem, is it?
You sent us a mail last week.
Yeah. Okay, that's that one. And we're whizzing through this tonight, aren't we? Local plan update.
I think what they were asking us to do here is a bit beyond our pay grade, isn't it? Really? Because it's not actually to talk about anything substantive, but whether it's all meets the rules.
Well, yeah.
And I thought, you know, I would take you 6 months to go and read them all. So
Yeah.
I saw a couple of interesting things on there. I noticed that there's a concept called a core employment area, and the Headley Road East Industrial Estate is on that, which is quite interesting in the light of some of the comments we've been getting from people who live around there. I think we'd rather it wasn't, but yeah, that's been gone. And we've got a couple of sites of urban landscape value, and 13 locations, I think it was, local green spaces. So, you know, that's something we need to have regard to, I guess. But I say, I don't think you can make any technical
No.
observations. I wish we could. It'd be a bit of a laugh, wouldn't it? It'd frighten the life out of them.
Just troublemaker, isn't it? Right. Any other comments on that at all?
Next is wicked.
Keep them on their toes, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, next item, Woking Borough Council EV charging strategy consultation. To consider Woking Borough Council's consultation regarding draft electric vehicle charging strategy. The strategy sets out to what electric vehicle infrastructure Woking Borough will need by 2030 to enable those dependent on car use who live, work and visit the borough to switch to EVs, and is provided. Appendix 11. I've got different views, perhaps there's a lot of people on EV charging points, I don't know. I just wonder, with all the situation with electric vehicles and where we're going with them and the way that the actual demand has declined recently, whether we're all jumping on a thing that will not actually materialise in the way they hope it will. I don't know.
I think, well, I mean, there's all sorts of economic around that, and there's a lot of political choices around that. I think we can say pretty certainly that fossil fuels are going out the window, you know, so there's got to be an alternative. And it may well be that electric vehicles are just an interim technology, because there are all sorts of
Hydrogen
things going on elsewhere. But for the moment, I think that's
I mean,
people, I mean, I've got an electric car, so I've got an interest in it.
okay.
And in fact, this is my
The thing that worries me is, you know, if I was buying, and I don't want to get away from planning issues, but if I was buying an electric vehicle, purely electric, I would be concerned about its resale value because the batteries do deteriorate quite considerably over time. And the cost of replacing them is enormous. What happens to the batteries once they've been taken out of your vehicle?
They do reuse them in other uses.
They're not just looking for somewhere to dump them.
No, they are
being used.
They are reused.
Right.
They are reused.
Robert.
Bill, you said something very interesting, which I agree with, about the use of electrical cars and things. And I've just had a quick Google just to make sure I'm correct with my facts. But in 11 years' time, you will not be able to buy a petrol or a diesel car. They will be banned. So you're going to have an electric. It doesn't say anything about hybrid. So you might be able to get a hybrid, I suppose.
In petrol.
But there will be a demand for more electric cars because you won't be able to have a diesel or a petrol car.
Yeah, I think there's all sorts of kind of issues from a planning point of view and not at our level. I mean, one of the big issues is if everybody tomorrow had an electric car, we probably would struggle to supply the electricity in certain parts of the country because the grid is in such a poor state. But I mean, that's not something we can kind of resolve or Wokingham. But I think, I mean, the Wokingham thing is quite interesting. I think the big thing as an electric car user is being able to charge at home, because you get better rates and you've got more kind of control over stuff, and you haven't got to go somewhere and wait for your car to charge up. And one of the issues I was quite interested in, and I have seen people in London do this, plug in their electric car in their home, and come across the pavement with a wire and plug it in, and that is actually illegal to do. But and that's reiterated in here, that's illegal. I thought, well, yeah, actually what we need though is a solution to that. I mean, I don't.
Well, I think the policy a long time ago with a lot of the borough councils was to move the lamp standards away from the curb edge back, which if they'd left them on the curb edge, would have been a possibility of charging them.
Wandsworth Council have got loads of lamps that you can actually plug a car into. But of course, being London, it's one of those things that, like, if you move your car from outside your house when you come back, well, you know, give it a fortnight and you might get to park outside it or do it again.
I'll go back to my hobby, with electric vehicles. Two things that infuriate me. One, they operate on lithium batteries, which are not eco-friendly. And secondly, they are charged from electricity provided by the use of fossil fuels.
But less and less, David. We're you know, the fossil fuel generation of power in this country is like negligible now. I mean, gas is actually the issue, but certainly oil and coal. You know, we're switching all those off. But I think that from a planning point of view, one of the things, and it is actually mentioned in working on this document, is for EV users who are doing long journeys, and certainly, I mean, you know, our latest car's got quite a long range, but nevertheless, if you're going on a long journey, you have to kind of plan about where you're going to stop and allow time to do that. And they have mentioned in this document that, you know, about providing charging stations that are near, you know, big, you know, arterial roads and so forth, so that people can plan around that. And certainly things have certainly improved since we had our first one, that you'd rock up to a plug and it didn't work. It was broken. But
the problem is with the, I mean, I don't know how yours is performing, but over the age of the car, the capability of that battery reduces. So the need to recharge is going to get more often or more frequent as the car gets older.
Yeah, I mean, so
you've got to have, whereas you say you can charge at home and go a long distance, you will charge at home and not be able to go that same distance.
I mean, there's essentially, I think that I mean, my husband's the sort of expert on all this, and but certainly battery life has surprised the industry. You know, they thought things would deteriorate quicker than they did. But again, if you look at the figures, and we've had those in a Wokingham report before about most people's journeys, and most people's car journeys are like under 5 kilometres, you know, most of the time. The longer, but again, when we were on holiday last year, we were charging in a fast charger, and I was talking to the chap in the next one who worked for the AA, and he said, you know, I'm the only person in my office who's got one of these. And he's saying, well, you know, it's a bit of a pain sometimes, because where we were going to charge wasn't working, we had to move. And he goes, oh yes, he said, this is like the apps. Well, again, if you go into a petrol station, you can give them cash money or your card. With a lot of these chargers, you've got to have the app. And this chap said, yeah, I've got 22 on my phone. And you just think, oh, really? You know, it's those sort of things that are tiresome. But in terms of the, you know, the borough's policy, I think it's what will be interesting to understand is for people who don't have, are not able to, you know, plug their car in at home.
Yeah.
What are they looking for that would make them say, yeah,
we've got to go and buy. Okay, Robert, I'll come to you.
Yes, thank you, Bill. It'd be nice to know if there was any plans to have electric bike charging facilities as well in the town centres. When you think some of the outlying villages are a reasonable distance away from the town centre, and if someone had an electric bike, they could then charge it up while they went shopping.
Yeah.
You can answer that question.
Yeah,
specifically.
Thank you. That'd be nice. I could then bring my electric bike.
Okay.
They may as well go on electric scooters that disabled people use.
Oh, yes.
Well, one thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
there could quite easily have a system where you could have a chargeable 3-pin plug. So you can plug in your equipment, be it for a disabled scooter or a mobility scooter or an electric bike, and you pay on an electric, on a normal 3-pin plug. It doesn't have to be a fancy charger.
No. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I was just going to point out that in the document, there are some comments in there that do kind of allude to it not being a temporary measure, but there are some caveats in there about behaviour change and market forces going forwards, and also they've got to be to target in the shorter term. But actually, there's a wait and see element to that, I think, and that is mentioned in there. That they can go a certain distance within, and they're going to have to continue to evaluate that.
Yeah.
I guess what we don't want is them to say, we need to put 50 of these in and run around bunging them in anyway, because that's the issue that Kester's had in Google Drive, that they put one in that's actually physically impossible to use.
Yeah.
You know, so it's being a bit discriminating about it, isn't it, rather than trying to hit a target.
Yeah. Did you have a comment you wanted to say? Sorry.
Just a common sense and planning.
Yeah.
Charges because there's enough green parkway we will try to bring it back to a parking bay there, so we can park it safely. Then apply the parking charger there. That would be great.
That would be the
way forward. So that's what we do that.
okay.
Perhaps you could put that in
Yeah.
our response as an example.
Yes. Okay, is there any other comments? I don't know. Keith hasn't got his hand up, has he? I can't see. No. No. Okay. So you've got a couple of responses there too.
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
Some general comments.
Okay, right. Watch this space. No. Right. Okay, on to community speed watch, transportation and highways, item 12. June, do you have any?
Yeah.
Right.
So so I've recruited a new member, with my husband, and we booked a session on Thursday, which is basically, and I'll sort of explain that to the our police contact. It is obviously we'll take some measurements, but it's really to test that we understand the process end to end. There's a certain amount of this that there's no documentation, is there, David? And you have to kind of do it and then identify the wrinkles and then go back to them and get it sorted out. So we're hoping that we'll get a decent set of measurements.
Yeah.
So that's all around getting the camera aligned properly and what have you, and then work out how we download this information. So we've got all the sort of basics of it, but I think we have to actually do it. And once we're comfortable, we know what we're doing. I think that's when we go into the next stage of recruiting.
What time are you going and where?
Noon till 1:30. But we'll do some more, David.
Yeah, because I would have come along and gone through it with you. But unfortunately, I've got my bat survey being done.
But I think you and Keith as well will have to have a formal session of familiarising yourself with the kit, so we can do that. But so we just want to make sure on Thursday that we can do it end to end, download the information, and so far it's working as I'd expected. We're getting all the automated emails and what have you. So,
right.
And so once we're comfortable with that, then we can Matthew can upload all the material he's produced to go onto the site, the town council site, and then we can actually recruit some more people. And I've got a list of other venues that are possible, so then we can do all that work. But as I say, I think we just need to prove the process end to end first, so we know what we're doing before we get anybody else involved in it.
Good, okay. Right, any other highways issues that we need to discuss? Anybody have any issues locally? Nope. apart from the amount of cabling work that's going on local to me, causes a few problems. But that's just something you have to live with, isn't it? Community issues. Any community issues, local community issues to you? Anything at all? No?
No.
No? On the screen, no? Applications and information. Promise inclusion newsletter, we note the receipt of that, and the Me Too Club newsletter. Well, that was the one that we had last time, didn't we? Was it another one since September 1? Yeah, but no. Right. Okay, future agenda items. Any suggestions for future agendas? Anything we feel necessary to put on the agenda?
This is just a thought, and I don't know what you think about it, but at full council, Mike was saying if we've got anything we wanted to take to the parish liaison meeting, to let him know. And I thought, one of the things I'd like a bit of guidance on is planning applications. And I often feel that I'm not adding any value to the process really. And certainly I think a couple of months ago we had a planning application in where we opposed it for two things that we had seen. Well, one was around sight lines.
Yeah.
And I'd raised the thing about the borough design guide, and the fact that this change would have meant that the garden was very much smaller than was in the design guide. But okay, we've done our homework, we've learned some of the rules, we've raised the issue, and it went to Woking and came back and they said, yeah, but anyway, and it was passed. And I thought, what value are we adding to this when we, and yeah, I have a bit sort of dispirited about it really. And I wondered whether there was any value in us just having a look at our sort of contribution to the planning application process, and perhaps having a bit of reference back to sort of some of the NALC guidelines and also our own terms of reference, and just to go through those and have a think about how's it working for us, and is there anything we could do to improve that. And then I think there's, to a certain extent, it's almost like, and you have to accept that what we can do is quite limited. And certainly, I mean, my feeling, a lot of the value that we can bring to it is all around sort of education and communication with our residents, rather than actually anything sort of substantive in terms of getting planning applications through. And I just wonder whether it was worth doing a little review of that. I mean, if so, I'd be quite happy to write a little paper that we could consider at a future meeting. But I was chatting to Matthew about, for example, I think it's really good that this town council sends out notifications beyond the very limited ones that the borough council send out. And again, from some of the things that I've learned the last 18 months, perhaps we'd like to just change the wording of that, or perhaps put links in it to documents that give people a clue about what's going on. But I mean, tonight we've had the chap unhappy that his neighbour hasn't put his planning notes up. Now, I don't know, who decided that people don't have to do that anymore, whether that's, is it a national thing, is it a working thing? I don't know.
National, is it?
But it's, people don't know about those things. And I think as you talk to somebody on the street, they just assume that somebody has to put a notice up. And it's just things like, I don't know, I mean, you might think it's not worth the effort, but I'd just like to feel that we're doing the best that we can, and also to understand what our limitations are, so I can stop beating myself up about it.
Yeah, I think the whole planning process is a bit of a mystery to the public. You know, there's the.
Well, I think it's a mystery to the people who
Well,
work.
yeah, it is. Yeah, but yeah, for somebody, you know, they don't realise that the limited influence we can have over a planning application. I mean, we are the local representatives. We know the area, so we could actually come up with some justifiable reasons why not to do something.
I think that there's possibly a case for some training for members as well.
Yeah.
Through help or something. I'll have another look at that.
Yeah.
There's some opportunities for member training for a number of things. And planning is an area that it's a bit of a dark art for a lot of councillors, and you can't expect to know all the ins and outs of that.
Also, there's shed loads of it, isn't there,
Yes.
really? I mean, if we didn't have Keith, who, you know, knows loads of this stuff, I think we'd be very stuck.
I mean, one good thing though is, which they've only just started doing, is if we do make a mistake, as with Malone Road, they are actually putting their response.
Well, we've asked for that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you wanted to make a comment?
It's a planning issue and it may not be allowed. Let's say for instance that some local people raised the right to put in a new basketball pitch you tried. We were passed a concrete section where the basketball is just grass. Is that a planning application issue? Would you speak to leisure?
That would come back to, on the borough, I think that comes back to leisure, doesn't it? It's not a planning application to put a concrete base in a parkland.
You mentioned open space and community.
Yeah. I would have thought that would go back to the parks and
Yeah, so depending on the scale of something and the nature of it, it'd be a leisure services matter in terms of the provision of equipment. It might be a strategy and resources consideration, depending if it was a donation we were talking about, or how that might work, rather than just accepting something.
Is this on, are you talking about on Woodley Town Council's parklands or on the borough's parks?
Yes, Woodley Town Council, Redborough Council.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah. Right.
Just going back to the agenda item, do you think it's something that's worth us having a look at? Well, I'll knock together
Yeah, absolutely.
and then run it by you and you.
Yeah.
I guess we ought to do that about a lot of stuff, really, isn't it?
Yep. Okay, publicity and website. Any suggestions for future items to be publicised? When's the next Herald out? Do we know?
Not that far away.
Right.
Quite soon. Yeah, it's basically done. Yeah.
It's done, is it? So we can't add anything to that one if we wanted. It would be.
I'll have to check.
Yeah.
Something very urgent.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking if we didn't come up with anything, but I can't think of anything at the moment, but it'd be nice to know if we did, we could get it in.
Well, no, if it's done, there may not be reference.
Okay. And finally, on to the enforcement issues, page 35 and 36.
The last planning meeting.
Yeah,
the road east has come up, no breach.
Yep, no breach. Yep. That's that one.
There is still
Most of
an
these-
outstanding one on Headley Road East, though, about whether they're adhering to the plan.
A minute, is that, who's Keith
Is that
wanting to
Keith?
speak?
It's always hand up.
No,
Yeah.
can't see, there's some interference here.
Yeah.
No.
What's interference?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, you were saying, with the one that's
Yeah,
outstanding?
there's another one outstanding, and it's about whether whether they're sticking to the plan of all the changes and what have you. And it's a big chunky document. But it was a sequence of events and all the kit that they're going to use to suppress
Oh, the dust and the.
Yeah,
you're
and
right,
all
yeah,
sorts of other
yeah.
things as well. It's a,
Right.
it's a, you know, a hefty great document.
Hmm,
So that seems to be still under consideration.
yeah. Some of these, when you look at the enforcement closures and there's, you know, so many no breach. You'd like a little bit more detail on some of those, wouldn't you? You know, as to how they've arrived at that. You know, why is there no breach? When we've, obviously somebody's upset by it.
But again, as we know, people raise issues without knowing.
Yeah.
And equally, this is the other thing, isn't it? It seems to go the other way. I remember reading in the design guide something about how close a shed could be to your fence.
Yes.
And I looked at it and I thought, well, that's all the sheds in Woodley.
Yes,
You know, I mean,
exactly.
you don't build a
Exactly.
shed in the
Mine's pretty
middle of the
close.
garden, do you? It's sort of, it's tucked in.
No, absolutely.
But, so again, that comes back to.
Yeah.
Design guide from
Yes.
Wokingham and.
Okay, so is there anything that
I know,
concerns us on the enforcement closures particularly?
no.
Thames Water Sewage, I take it that's sewage and not swage, pumping station tower, Mohawk Way, and authorised works without planning permission. I thought water companies were a law unto themselves anyway, so. Right, okay, nothing else? Well, there we are, very quick meeting tonight. So,
8:36.
yep, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody attending. Thank you very much.
See you, Robert.
Good night.
See you, Robert.
Yeah,